You can be sitting in a crowded room and still feel invisible. People can laugh inches away from you, and your chest can still feel empty. A phone can be full of names, messages, and notifications, and your brain can still whisper that nobody truly sees you. That feeling is not weakness. It is ancient. It is biological. It is older than cities, older than schools, older than every glowing screen your eyes touch each day. So, why can you feel lonely even around people? The strange answer is that loneliness was never about being physically alone. Your brain does not simply count bodies in a room. It searches for safety, recognition, closeness, and belonging. If those signals are missing, your brain can treat a crowded room like a dangerous empty field. Long before modern life, your ancestors survived through connection. A human alone on an ancient landscape was vulnerable. Your body was not built with claws, armor, or the speed of a hunting cat. Your real protection came from other humans. A group meant shared food. A group meant warning calls. A group meant someone noticed when danger moved in the grass. What happened if your ancestors were pushed outside that circle? Their chances dropped. A lonely feeling was not just sadness, it was an alarm. It told your ancestors to reconnect before disconnection became dangerous. That is why loneliness can feel physical. Your chest feels heavy, your mind replays conversations that should have been easy. Why would a feeling about people create sensations in your body? Because your brain treats social pain like a survival problem. The psychologist John K. Chiappo spent much of his career studying loneliness, and his work helped show that loneliness is not just a mood. It can change attention, stress, sleep, and even the way your brain reads other people. In simple terms, loneliness puts your brain on watch. When your brain feels socially unsafe, it becomes more alert to rejection. A neutral face can look cold. A delayed text can feel personal. A quiet room can seem like proof that something is wrong with you. Have you ever walked into a group and instantly wondered if you were unwanted? That question may feel modern, but the alarm behind it is ancient. Your brain is asking whether your place in the group is secure. Your ancestors could not afford to ignore that question. The problem is that the same alarm that once protected your ancestors can confuse you today. Modern life gives you contact without closeness. It gives you crowds without community. It gives you communication without being truly known. How many times have you been surrounded by people while still feeling like your real thoughts had nowhere to go? That is the first twist. Loneliness is not only the absence of people, loneliness is the absence of felt connection. Your brain can sit beside someone and still feel alone if your inner world stays hidden. This is why a busy classroom, workplace, party, train, or family gathering can still feel empty. Your body may be near people, your brain may still be asking, who here understands me? Who here would notice if something changed in me? Who here feels safe enough to receive the truth? The human brain is designed to look beneath the surface. A smile is not always connection. A conversation is not always closeness. A group chat is not always belonging. So, what is your brain really searching for? It searches for signs that you matter. Eye contact, a real question, a pause long enough for honesty, a person who remembers what you said last time. Small signals can carry enormous weight because your ancestors lived in small social worlds. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar became known for the idea that human social life has natural limits. His research connected brain size with group size in primates and helped popularize the idea that humans can only maintain a limited number of meaningful relationships. The number is debated, but the message is simple. Your brain was not designed to deeply know thousands of people, it was designed for a smaller circle. Familiar faces, repeated contact, shared stories, a sense of being held inside a group over time. Now your brain lives in a world filled with faces it does not truly know. You can scroll past hundreds of people in minutes. You can compare your life to strangers before breakfast. You can receive attention without intimacy. What does your ancient brain do with that much social noise? It can mistake visibility for belonging. It can mistake likes for care. It can mistake being watched for being understood, but your social system knows the difference. This is why loneliness can grow even when your life looks connected from the outside. A person can have followers and still feel unseen. A person can have coworkers and still feel unknown. A person can have family nearby and still feel emotionally far away. Why does this happen? Because your brain needs more than contact. It needs trust. It needs a place where your guard can drop. It needs at least one connection where your nervous system does not have to perform. Harry Harlow showed something powerful about this through his famous studies with infant monkeys. The studies were uncomfortable and are viewed today through a much more ethical lens, but they changed how scientists understood attachment. Young monkeys did not only seek food, they sought comfort. When given a choice between a wire mother with food and a soft cloth mother without food, many clung to the soft figure. The lesson was simple and deep. A living mind does not only need survival resources, it needs warmth, safety, and contact. Your human brain carries that same lesson in a more complex way. You do not only need people who provide information, money, advice, or entertainment. You need people who help your body feel safe. You need a connection that tells your nervous system you're not facing life by yourself. What happens when life gives you function but not warmth? You may keep moving. You may keep working. You may keep answering messages, but beneath the surface, your brain can feel hungry for a kind of closeness it cannot name. This hunger can make you feel strange around others. You might laugh at the right time and still feel separate. You might share facts about your day while hiding what actually matters. You might keep conversations light because deeper honesty feels risky. Have you ever left a social event feeling more alone than before you arrived? That feeling makes sense. Surface level contact can sometimes make loneliness sharper. Being physically alone can feel quiet. Being emotionally alone around others can feel like proof that something is missing. Your brain compares the situation to what it needs. It sees people nearby. Then it notices that closeness is absent. That gap can hurt. The room becomes a mirror. This is one reason loneliness is not always solved by just going out more. More people can help if those people create real connection, but more noise without safety can increase the ache. What your brain wants is not a bigger crowd. It wants a stronger bond. It wants a signal that you belong somewhere without having to constantly earn it. It wants someone to notice the version of you that exists beneath the polite answer. It wants your outer life and inner life to finally touch. John Cacioppo and Stephanie Cacioppo describe loneliness as a social signal, not a personal failure. That reframe matters. If hunger tells your body to find food, loneliness tells your mind to seek connection. The feeling is painful because the need is important, but there is another twist. Loneliness can make connection harder. When your brain feels socially threatened, it may protect you by becoming cautious. It may scan for rejection. It may pull back before anyone else can. Could the same alarm that asks for connection also push connection away? Yes, that is part of the trap. Loneliness can make you watchful. Watchfulness can make you seem distant. Distance can make others less likely to reach in. Then your brain says, see, you're alone. This cycle can happen quietly. You may not call it fear. You may call it being tired, busy, independent, or careful. But your nervous system may be trying to avoid more social pain. Your ancestors needed that caution. If a group rejected you once, your brain had to learn from it. Social exclusion could mean danger, hunger, or death. So your brain became sensitive to signs of being left out. How could such sensitivity not follow you into modern rooms? Today, exclusion may look like not being invited. It may look like being talked over. It may look like watching other people form easy bonds while you stand nearby. Your brain may react as if the ancient circle is closing without you. That is why loneliness can carry shame. Your mind may tell you that something is wrong with you, but loneliness is not proof that you are broken. It is an ancient alarm trying to solve a human need inside a modern world. The researcher, Julianne Holt-Lundstad, studied social connection and health, and her work helped show that social isolation and loneliness are linked with real health risks. That does not mean loneliness is a life sentence. It means connection is not decoration. It is part of human functioning. Your body treats relationships as part of survival. A trusted person can lower stress. A safe conversation can soften tension. Why would connection have that much power? Because your nervous system was shaped in groups. A calm face can signal safety. A warm voice can tell your body that danger is not near. A shared laugh can remind your brain that it belongs to something larger than itself. Even language shows this. You do not only say that you feel lonely in your thoughts, you say you feel it in your chest. You feel it in your stomach. You feel it in your energy. The body keeps score of connection. And yet, modern life often trains you to hide the very signals that create closeness. You may say you're fine when you are not. You may keep your worries polished. You may turn your personality into a performance so nobody sees the vulnerable parts. What happens when every interaction becomes a small audition? Your brain gets tired. Your body stays guarded. Your relationships may look active, but your inner self remains untouched. Loneliness grows in the space between the person people see and the person you're trying to protect. That space can exist anywhere. At work, at school, at home, inside friendships, inside a relationship, even inside a room full of people who technically care about you. This is why the feeling gets confusing. You may think people are around. So why does this feeling remain? But your brain is not asking whether people exist nearby. It is asking whether connection feels real. Real connection does not always require dramatic confession. Sometimes it begins with one honest sentence, one small risk, One moment where the mask loosens, one person responding with patience instead of judgment. Could something that small matter? Yes. To your brain, small repeated signals build safety. One conversation may not erase loneliness, but repeated moments of honesty can teach your nervous system that closeness is possible again. This is how belonging forms, not through constant attention or popularity. Belonging forms when your brain starts to predict that certain people are safe, steady, and real. Your ancestors did not build belonging from perfect speeches, they built it from repeated presence, sharing food, watching fires, caring for children, warning each other. Returning to the same faces again and again, your brain still understands repetition, it trusts what returns and relaxes around what stays. What if loneliness is not asking you to become more impressive but more reachable? That idea can change everything. Loneliness often makes you think you need to be more interesting, more successful, funnier, stronger, or easier to like. But the deeper need may be simpler. Your brain may be asking for safer honesty. This does not mean every person deserves access to your inner life. Your brain also needs boundaries. Not every crowd is a community. Not every familiar face is safe. So the answer is not to open everything to everyone. The answer is to notice where real safety might be possible. One person, one recurring place, one honest conversation, one shared routine, one connection that grows slowly instead of performing instantly. Modern loneliness often comes from disconnection disguised as connection. You can be available to everyone and known by almost no one. You can keep up with many lives and still feel that nobody is keeping up with yours. You can answer every message while avoiding the one message your heart wants to send. Why does this feel so heavy? Because your brain was not built to live as a profile. It was built to live as a person inside a circle of other persons. It needs tone, timing, memory, touch, trust, laughter, silence, and return. It needs to feel that your presence changes the room. When that need is unmet, loneliness speaks, not to punish you, not to embarrass you, not to prove that you are unlovable. It speaks because something human in you is still alive. That is the final reframe. Loneliness is painful, but it is not empty. It carries information. It points toward the kind of connection your brain was built to need. It reminds you that your heart is not designed to survive on performance alone. So when you feel lonely around people, your brain may not be saying that people are absent. It may be saying that safety is absent, depth is absent, recognition is absent. The ancient circle is nearby, but you do not yet feel held inside it. And maybe the way back is not a louder life. Maybe it is a truer one. One real conversation, one slower friendship, one moment where the guarded part of you discovers that it can be seen and still be safe. You can be sitting in a crowded room and finally understand why that invisible feeling was trying to make you reach for something real.